Purana. Sakshad Bhagavatoditaha. It is spoken by Krishna himself. Dvadasha Skanda Yuktoyam. It has 12 cantos. Shata Vichheda Samyutaha. It has hundreds of chapters. Grantoshtadasha Sahasram. Sri Bhagavata Sri Bhagavata Vidaha. It has 18,000 verses. So Garuda Purana is glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam. We saw how Padma Purana glorifies Bhagavatam as a body of Krishna. And then we saw in Krishna Leela Astava 412 to 416, Srila Sanatana Goswami is glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam is the Piyusha. It is a Satphala. It is a Ratnaha. It is loved by everyone, especially it is a prana of the devotees. And Krishna himself has appeared in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. It gives the highest bliss, and whoever serves Bhagavatam is serving actually Krishna. Recently we want seva, Without Bhagavatam, what seva? Sometimes we are very afraid. Many students are afraid of joining Bhakti Vaibhava. Why? Exam is there. Nice, na? This exam will make us fearless to appear the highest examination. The topmost of all examination is how to give up this body. How to remember Krishna and give up this body. It's not so easy to give up the body. There is an old lady who is suffering like anything, but still she is not able to give up the body. It's not so easy to give up the body. She is having cancer. All the parts have gone, but still the body is not going. She is not able to give up the body. It's not so easy to give up the body. So these examinations are nothing. It is only Bhagavata which is going to come along with us. It's only the Bandhu, it's only the Sangi, Mahadhana, and Srimad Bhagavatam is our Guru. Azadu Sadhu Dattai, I have no qualities. I'm the most lowest person. It is Srimad Bhagavatam which is going to bestow unto us all the sadhatva that has been given. So the prayers given by Sanatana Goswami. Let Bhagavatam verses beautify my throat. Anamuncha kadachinmam premna kantayav spura. One verse glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam. Now let us take first verse was the Gayatri mantra. Last time we saw first verse is the most important verse. It is the answer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It is the answer for the first aphorism. The first Vedanta Sutra is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Let me inquire unto the absolute truth. Who is that person? Answer is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He is that person. Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva. He is that absolute truth. When glorifying Bhagavan, Srila Prabhupada says, just don't say God. When you say God, generator, operator, destructor. When you say absolute truth, is full of rasas. He is a person. He deals with each and every devotee. Every devotee has a unique relation with Krishna. Now, who is that person? He is Vasudeva. And what are his qualities? Two qualities have been told. Intrinsic quality, extrinsic quality, or internal quality, external quality. What is his internal quality? Satyam Param Dhimahi. First verse speaks about it. Wherever starts with Om, ends with Dhimahi, it is Gayatri Mantra. Last time, I'm just repeating because last week few devotees were not there. This is a very, very important verse. Janma Desya Tonvayadi Tartah Charte Shavikya Swarat Tene Brahma Hrudayadi Kavaye Muyanti Surayah Tejo Vari Mudam Yatha Vinimayo Yaprat Sargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Started with Om, ended with Dhimahi. Dhimahi means let me meditate upon. Upon whom? Upon the Om. Who is that Om? Vasudeva. Om is only the symbol of Krishna or the Dhvani of Krishna. Om refers to A-U-Am, internal, marginal, external potency of Krishna. Let me meditate upon him. What is his internal nature or intrinsic quality. He is Satyam. He is the truth. Param. He is absolute. Param. Absolute means completely transcendental. He is Param. Topmost, or can say transcendental. What is extrinsic quality? Janma Adi. That means he is responsible for creation, maintenance, destruction. I was just meditating on this verse. I was just thinking, Satyam Param Dhimahi. Let me meditate upon Srila Prabhupada. We can meditate upon anyone. And why don't we meditate upon our Acharya? Even when we meditate upon Acharya, this verse applies to devotional service, to our Acharyas, to Radha Krishna, to Madhuri Prema, to the absolute truth. So when we say Satyam Param Dhimahi, Srila Prabhupada is Satyam, Srila Prabhupada is Param. Srila Prabhupada Janmadasya, whole ISKCON created by Srila Prabhupada. You can meditate like this. So Janmadasya, Lord has created, Lord is maintaining, whole creation, maintenance and destruction is done by Krishna. How he does? Yataha means this whole creation, this whole manifestation of the universe. Yato refers to manifestation of this universe. Anvayadi refers to either he will do directly, Anvayadi, directly, or Itarataha means indirectly. Like Srila Prabhupada has created this ISKCON. He directly is running ISKCON, or he runs indirectly also through his representatives, GBC. So we can apply these verses to our acharyas also. Why did he create ISKCON? Chartheshwar, he knows the artha, he knows the artha. Why Lord created this universe? Because he knows the artha, purpose, he knows the purpose. Cha artha, abhigyaha, he knows everything. He is all knowledgeable. And Srila Prabhupada has created this ISKCON, has formed the ISKCON, you can say. He knows the rules and regulations. Abhigya. Swarat is independent. Yes. Lord is Swarat. Acharyas are given this independence by Lord. So minutely everybody is Swarat. Tene Brahmurdayadi Kavi. Krishna is completely independent. Krishna has given this knowledge, Brahma Jnanam, to Adi Kavaye. Adi Kavaye is Brahmaji himself. But there are certain things which Krishna has hidden from even Brahmaji, hidden from the Vedas also. Yet Muyanti Asurayaha, in this way, he has completely kept them in illusion. Now, how is the nature of this material manifestation? It is Amrushaha. It is unreal. Here, unreal doesn't refer to false. Jagat Satyam. But Jagat is not Shashwata. It is not Shashwata. It is not eternal. Amrusha refers to not eternal. How it is like a mirage. This material world is governed by three sargaha. Three sargaha refers to three modes of material nature. You can say three sarga also refers to three planetary systems. Three modes of material nature also you can say. And how the things look. The fire sometimes looks like water. The earth looks like fire. So it looks like different. It is not looking as it is. It looks like something else. Like even in our life, what we think this is going to give us happiness, it is actually not giving us happiness. We consider certain circumstances as very comfortable zone. It may not be a comfortable zone. So things doesn't look as they are. That is how it gives a illusion. Like people think after getting married, people will be very happy. So it's an illusion which is created. After 2-3 years, person understands why I got married. Everyone you ask, they'll give the same answer. They'll think, why did I get married? I was better. So it is giving certain situation. It is giving us a false situation. That is why it is unreal, it has been given. But how is the nature of the spiritual world? Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. There is no kuhaka. There is no illusion. There is no fog. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. Satyam param dhimahi. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. So the dham of Krishna is Nirasta kuhakam. There is no illusion. There is no illusion. So let us see the second verse. Second verse also we did is last time. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kimba Parerishwarah Sadyardya Vritkute Trikutivi Shushubhitakshanat. So Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo. Now about Krishna is given in the first verse. About Srimad Bhagavatam. What is there in Srimad Bhagavatam? Param Dharma has been spoken. Param Dharma has been spoken. Which Dharma has been told to be rejected? Which Dharma is rejected? Kaitava Dharma is rejected. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Reject. Completely reject. But which Dharma? Kaitava Dharma. Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Parama. Then who can take this? Who is eligible for this? Or after taking this, what qualities will be attained? Nirmat Saranam Sata. One becomes a devotee. Or it is the property of a devotee. Which devotee? What should be the qualification of a devotee? He should not have any matsarata. There should not be any enviousness. These qualities will be attained by studying Bhagavatam. So see, what are the advantages of studying Bhagavatam? We say we want to serve, we want to serve. With all the enviousness or hatred or ahankara, how are we going to serve? It's not so easy to serve. We want service. Every devotee wants service. Devotees cannot remain without service. But the qualification to have service is given by Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Srimad Bhagavatam's Vedyam, it has all, it is understandable. That means it's so simple. It's not very difficult. Vedyam, it is understandable. We have so much of fear na, that how are we going to study? Very clearly it has been told. Very understandable. Even Srimad Bhagavatam understands us also. Srimad Bhagavatam is a person. So that person is understanding us and we are understanding that person. Vastavam, it is the truth. It is factual. It is truth. And Vastu. Vastu means it has substance. It has substance. Like anything you want to eat, want to have anything. It should have some substance, isn't it? It should not be something poka. It should have something substance. Then only you feel like to relish that thing. In the same way, the relishment in Bhagavatam is there because it has substance. Shivadam, it is completely pure. Shivadam, it brings auspiciousness to everyone. Our sufferings are because of our karmas. And these sufferings can be completely eradicated if we bring auspiciousness in our life. Because it is about Krishna. By Krishna is in Bhagavad Gita. But one should know about Krishna also. So Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam are in relation to each other. You cannot separate Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada says, study Bhagavad Gita in the eyes of Bhagavatam, study Bhagavatam in the eyes of Bhagavad Gita. Tapatrayonmulanam. Nobody wants to suffer, but somehow we see that we are suffering. Even devotees also suffer. Why? Because of the previous karmas. So how this is going to be eradicated? Tapatrayonmulanam. This tapa, especially the tapa of enviousness. There is no bigger tapa than this. The enviousness sometimes creeps in the heart of devotees also. So whenever such things come, immediately what you should chant? Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Immediately you should chant. This is actually a medicine. Whenever enviousness can come in anyone's heart, because it's a byproduct of this material world. And Adi Devik Tapa, Adi Bhautik Tapa, Adhyatmik Tapa, all these tapas are there, given by others, suffered by oneself, given by the demigods. All these tapa are there. But it is going to be uprooted. Yen Moolanam. Moolanam means uprooted, completely uprooted by Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute, who has given this? Mahamuni has given. Beyond this, what else is there? Kimva Paririshvara. There is nothing beyond this. Sadhya Rudya Varudate Trikutibihi Shushrushubhitakshara. Whoever hears to it, Shushrushubhit. Shrunatam Sukataha Krishnaha, Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. It is going to come anyhow, it's going to come. Shravanam has been emphasized. Tat Shrunu. Even the 7th chapter, first shloka, Bhagavad Gita, ends with a word, Tat Shrunu. Shrunu means hear. Here also what has been given? Shushrushu Vittashanat. What happens when you hear? Krishna emphasized on hearing in 7th chapter, first verse itself, Tat Shrunu. Somebody can ask, what is the use? And then see how you are going to connect it. The Takshanu, what is the advantage of hearing? This last line of 2nd verse of 1st canto, 1st chapter of Bhagavatam. Sadhya Rudya Vartate Trapatipi, tie Krishna within the heart by hearing, and Krishna is allowing the devotee to tie him. And for that, he is giving a clue in Bhagavad Gita, Tachrunu. He is not telling in Bhagavad Gita what is going to happen by Tachrunu. But he is telling in Bhagavatam what is going to happen by Tachrunu. You can bind him. If he gives that clue in the Bhagavad Gita itself, many will try to bind. And Krishna says, hey, I'm not going to be bound by everyone. I'll be bound only by selected few. Who are the selected few? Who are Bhakti Vaibhava students? So Bhakti Vaibhava students can bind Krishna. Bhakti Shastri students understood. Okay, Tachrunu. But what is the advantage of Tachrunu? That has been given. Satya Rutya Vartate Traputibihi. Shushrushubhi Tatshana. Tatshana means immediately. Krishna is bound in your heart. Can you forget Krishna? Why? He will not allow you to forget. He is sitting in your heart. Even if you want to forget him also, he will not allow you to forget. Because he is sitting in your heart. Isn't it? Venkatesh Prabhu, is he sitting or not? Seem to be highly tensed. Okay. Read the purport, Venkatesh Prabhu. We had stopped here. Read the purport of the 2nd verse.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Mataji. Religion includes 4 primary subjects, namely pious activities.
Okay, this is a question. Do one thing. Whenever we are studying, give a glance in this, because even I am getting tensed. When I see the question answers, even I get tensed. No? And how much tension you should have? A lot of tension. No? So what you should do is, you should immediately prepare those questions. At least learn that questions first. Answer is there when you read the purport. Take a pencil and mark it. Don't take the pen. You can just take a pencil and mark. So there and then you have finished the studies. So that becomes very easy. So this is one line question is there. Today I was just seeing that. Religion includes how many subject matters? Okay, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Purport. Religion includes 4 primary subjects, namely pious activities, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and finally liberation from material bondage. Irreligious life is a barbarous condition. Indeed, human life begins when religion begins. Eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating are the 4 principles of animal life. So these are common both to animal and human beings. But religion is the extra function of the human being. So without religion, human life is no better than animal life. Therefore, in human societies, there is some form of religion which aims is at self-realization and which makes reference to man's eternal relationship with God. In the lower stages of human civilization, there is always competition of Lord it over the material nature, or in other words. So there is a continuous rivalry to satisfy the senses. Driven by such consciousness, man turns to religion. He thus performs pious activities or religious functions in order to gain the something material. But if such material gains are obtainable in other ways, then so-called religion is neglected. So this is the situation in modern civilization. Man is thriving economically. So at the present, he is not very interested in religion. Churches, mosques, or temples are now practically vacant. Men are more interested in factories, shops, and cinemas than in religious places. which were erected by the forefathers. So this practically proves that religion is a platform for some economic gains. Economic gains are needed for sense gratification. Often, when one is baffled in the pursuit of the sense gratification, he takes to salvation and tries to become one with the Supreme Lord. Consequently, all these states are simply different types of sense gratification.
Okay, from here, Sanjay Prabhu read. So here Srila Prabhupada speaks about people are not interested in the religious places, but they are so much interested in material prosperity.
In the Vedas, the above mentioned four activities are prescribed in the regulative way so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. But Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities. It is purely transcendental literature, which can be understood only by the pure devotees of the Lord, who are transcendental to competitive sense gratification. In the material world, there is keen competition between animal and animal, man and man, community and community, nation and nation. But the devotees of the Lord rise above such competitions. They do not compete with the materialist because they are on the path back to Godhead, where life is eternal and blissful. Such transcendentalists are non-envious and pure in heart. In the material world, everyone is envious of everyone else, and therefore there is competition. But the transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from material envy, but are well-wishers to everyone, and they strive to establish a competitionless society with God in the center. The contemporary socialist conception of a competitionless society is artificial because in the socialist state, there is competition for the post of dictator. From the point of view of the Vedas, or from the point of view of common human activities, sense gratification is the basis of material life. There are three paths mentioned in the Vedas. One involves fruitive activities to gain promotion to better planets. Other involves worshipping different demigods for promotion to the planets of the demigods. And another involves realizing the absolute truth and its impersonal feature and becoming one with him.
Okay, 1 minute. So this is what Prabhupada says, devotees don't have competition, but we find in temples, these things are there, isn't it? That time it becomes very horrifying. What is this? I have come to temple to learn the materialistic things. That is why Bhagavatam studies are very important, especially Srila Prabhupada's purpose. If the knowledge is not there, we bring our material propensity in even in the temple and we fight for the post. One president will fight with another president and there will be a clash, there will be two parties. And there will be always such type of chaos. And that is just because Srila Prabhupada, when he's emphasizing the nature of a devotee, when we say, I am a devotee, we should not actually say that, at least I am in a devotional path. Then we should give up all these things. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktirjate. We have studied in Nectar of Devotion. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam, that is what is mentioned. Prabhupada has given commentary from Nectar of Devotion. Don't forget Nectar of Devotion. Bhagavatam is based on Nectar of Devotion. It's not Bhakti Shastri is over, chalo, I have come to Bhakti Vaibhava. It's all interconnected. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam, Prabhupada speaks about that. Okay. Aruna, read from here.
Hare Krishna. The impersonal aspect of the absolute truth is not the highest. Above the impersonal feature is the Paramatma feature, and above this is the personal feature of the absolute truth or Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam gives information about the absolute truth in his personal feature. It's higher than the impersonalist literatures and higher than the Jnana Kanda division of the Vedas. It is even higher than the Karma Kanda division and even higher than the Upasana Kanda division because it recommends the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna in the Karma Kanda, there is Lord In the Karma Kanda, there is competition to reach heavenly planets for the better sense gratification, and there is similar competition in the Jnana Kanda and the Upasana Kanda. The Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to all these because it aims at the supreme truth, which is the substance or the root of all categories. From Srimad Bhagavatam, one can come to know the substance as well as the categories. The substance is the absolute truth, the Supreme Lord, and all the emanations are relative forms of energy.
So what is it? Vastu? Vastu is Krishna himself. Substance is Lord himself. Okay, Mohit Prabhu, read from here.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Nothing is apart from the substance, but at the same time, the energies are different from the substance. This conception is not contradictory. Srimad Bhagavatam explicitly promulgates this simultaneously one and different philosophy of the Vedanta Sutra, which begins with the Janmadhyasya Sutra. May I continue, Mataji?
Continue.
This knowledge of the energy of the Lord being simultaneously one and different from the Lord is an answer to the mental speculator's attempt to establish the energy as the absolute. When this knowledge is factually understood, one sees the conceptions of monism and dualism to be imperfect. Development of this transcendental consciousness, grounded in the conception of simultaneously one and different, leads one immediately to the stage of freedom from the threefold miseries. The threefold miseries are those miseries which arise from the mind and body, those miseries inflicted by other living beings, and those miseries arising from natural catastrophes over which one has no control. Srimad Bhagavatam begins.
For that Prabhupada is writing. Tapatrayom.
Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the surrender of the devotee unto the Absolute Person. The devotee is fully aware that he is one with the Absolute and at the same time in the eternal position of servant to the Absolute. In the material conception, one falsely thinks himself the Lord of all he surveys, and therefore he is always troubled by the threefold miseries of life. But as soon as one comes to know his real position as transcendental servant, he at once becomes free from all miseries. As long as the living entity is trying to master material nature, there is no possibility of his becoming servant of the Supreme. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from material encumbrances.
Okay. Milind Prabhu, read from here. Tapatrayam Moolanam has been emphasized. Okay.
Over and above this, Srimad Bhagavatam is a personal commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Sri Vyasadeva. It was written in the maturity of his spiritual life through the mercy of Narada. Sri Vyasadeva is the authorized incarnation of Narayana, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, there is no question as to his authority. He is the author of all other Vedic literature, yet he recommends the study of Srimad Bhagavatam above all others. In other Puranas, there are different methods set forth by which one can worship the demigods. But in the Bhagavatam, only the Supreme Lord is mentioned. The Supreme Lord is a total body, and the demigods are the different parts of the body. Consequently, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, one does not need to worship the demigods. The Supreme Lord becomes fixed in the heart of the devotee immediately. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended the Srimad Bhagavatam as a spotless Purana, and it distinguishes it from the other Puranas.
So, Vedavyasa has written other books, that is, he's author of literatures, but still, what is he recommending? Study Bhagavatam. What is the essence of all the Vedic literatures? Okay. Bhaktani Prabhu, read from here to the end.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The proper method for receiving this transcendental message is to hear it submissively. A challenging attitude cannot help one realize this transcendental message. One particular word is used herein for proper guidance. This word is shushrush. One must be anxious to hear this transcendental message. The desire to sincerely hear is the first qualification. Less fortunate persons are not at all interested in hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam. The process is simple, but the application is difficult. Unfortunate people find enough time to hear the ideal social and political conversation, but when invited to attend a meeting of devotees to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, they suddenly become reluctant. Sometimes professional readers of the Bhagavatam immediately plunge into the confidential topics of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, which they seemingly interpret as a sex literature. Srimad Bhagavatam is meant to be heard from the beginning. Those who are fit to assimilate this work are mentioned in this shloka. One becomes qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam after many pious deeds. The intelligent person with thoughtful discretion can be assured by the great sage Vyasadeva that he can realize the Supreme Personality directly by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam without undergoing the different stages of realization set forth in the Vedas. One can be lifted immediately to the position of Paramahansa simply by agreeing to receive this message. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Now in this verse, what is there? How to capture Krishna in the heart. The clue has been given. Shushushu. Nirmarsaranam Satam. How to capture Krishna. Now, how is Krishna? Krishna is very sweet. Then, what is Bhagavatam? That is also very sweet, because Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. So, sweetness of Krishna or sweetness of Bhagavatam is established in third verse. How to capture Krishna? Second verse. Glimpse of Bhagavatam has been given. What is there in Bhagavatam? Bhagavatam has that Parama Dharma is there. Not Kaitava Dharma is not there. Kaitava Dharma has to be given up. Who has written this? Mahamuni has written. And how to capture Krishna has been given. How is Bhagavatam very sweet? So that sweetness has been emphasized in third chapter, in third verse. Nigamakalpatarurgalitam phalam shukamukha amritadravatam vibhata bhagavatam rasamani muharaho rafika bhuvibhavuka. Very important verse this is. Rasika bhuvibhavuka. So Nigamakalpatarurgalitam phalam. Try to read along with me. Nigamakalpatarurgalitam phalam Shukamukha amritadarva sammitam pibata bhagatam rasamalayam muharaho rasika bhuvibhavuka takshanat means immediately you know his presence. Krishna is present. But how many of them know that his presence? Takshanat here refers to one knows his presence. It's not that Krishna is not present, but Krishna is present, is known only by the devotees. Not only Krishna is present, Krishna hears to our talks. Krishna is bound by our love. That is understood. That Krishna makes only devotees understand. Okay, that was a question by Madhvi Manjari Mataji. Okay. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam. Let us see one word. Nigama. You have heard this word Nigama. LIC. Nigama. They have stolen our words. Once we had a program, Hare Krishna festival, I went to these LIC officers. They only know to take now, but they gave me 10,000 rupees 15 years before. I told them, you should give some donation. They said that we don't have such concept. I said, how can you talk like that? You have taken some words from us. You have taken the word Nigama. You have taken our word Yogakshema Mahamyaham. You owe us. You should give us. I was so pleased. He gave me 10,000 rupees check, first check from LIC. Nigama. Nigama means from everything, from where everything emanates. That is Nigama. Vedic literatures. Nigama. Nigama is also, Vedic literatures are also known as Nigama, from where everything emanates. Kalpatarur. So Vedic literatures are also known as Kalpataru. They are also known as Kalpataru. Desire fulfilling tree. Now in this desire fulfilling tree, there is a fruit, Dalitam, fully matured fruit. And how is this fruit, Dalitam phalam? It has no skin, no seed. At the same time, it doesn't spill also. No seed, no seed, no skin also. That means nothing is wasted. And this fruit is not found in the Vedic literatures. That means this fruit is not found in the tree. It has already come out of the tree. It is from that tree only, but it is not found in that tree, nor it is spilled on the ground or broken in the ground. It has not fallen on the ground. Where we are finding this fruit, it is in the mouth of Shukadev Goswami. Came from the Vedic literature, but not found in the Vedic literature, found in the mouth of Shukadev Goswami. Who is that Shuka? Shuka is a parrot of Srimati Radharani. It is said, whichever fruit parrot tastes, that fruit is very, very sweet. Shukamukhat Amrita Dravya Samyutam. It is completely Dravya. Dravya means it is completely juicy. Amrita Dravya Samyutam. It is completely juicy. It is Amrita. It is nectar. It is semi-solid and soft, easily swallowable. Dravya means easily swallowable. Samyutam, it is perfect. So see how Bhagavatam has been described. It is Amrita. Whoever studies Bhagavatam will never die. Amrita. Who will not die? What will not die? Devotional service will never die. Whoever is a sincere student of Srimad Bhagavatam, his devotional service will never go in vain. What is that verse in Bhagavad Gita? Neha Vikramana Shosti Pratyavayo Navityate Swalpamapya Sadharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Even a small thing done for Krishna, Krishna will never forget. So what is the proof? This is the proof. Shukamukhat Amrita Samyutam Amrita. So what does not die? The devotional service will never die. Because this fruit is very, very sweet fruit. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. Now it is found in the mouth of Shukadev Goswami. Bhagavatam is so relishing. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam. Whoever reads this Bhagavatam or whoever becomes a sincere student of Bhagavatam, he can relish. What he can relish? That Rasam Alayam. Because Bhagavatam is completely relishable. Alayam means it is an abode. It's an abode for even the topmost liberation. What is the topmost liberation? That is getting service of Krishna. It is Rasam Alayam. So Alayam refers here to until liberation or even in a liberated condition. So Alayam means even the Muktatmas, they also want to relish Bhagavatam, like Shukadev Goswami. He was a Muktatma. But when his father gave him Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, he loved devotional service. He understood the importance of devotional service more than even Mukti. Bhakti is more than even Mukti. So this is a subject matter of also Muktatmas. It gives the topmost relishment even to Muktatmas. Muhuraho, Muhura means always. Rasika, Bhubi Bhavuka, Rasika. Those who are full in knowledge of the melus, Rasika, who are enjoying the rasas or who have the knowledge of the rasas, Bhuvi Bhavuka. So in this way, this is relishable for all who are Bhavukas. Bhavuka refers means who are thoughtful, who are expert in this earthly planet. Bhavuka also refers to who have Bhava. Bhavuka. And what is that Bhava? We have read about Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. So that Bhava Bhakti is nothing but it is nothing but one step before Prema Bhakti, isn't it? That the rays of Prema Bhakti can be understood at the stage of Bhava Bhakti. And the desire to see Krishna is increasing more and more. So Bhagavatam gives that opportunity to come from Bhava Bhakti to Prema Bhakti. How to reach from Bhava Bhakti to Prema Bhakti? This is the only way. Rasika, that is how rasas those who enjoy or those who have the knowledge of the rasas, they are bhavakaha in this earthly planet. To reach the stage from bhava bhakti to prema bhakti, Bhagavatam is the only solution. So sweetness of Bhagavatam has been emphasized. So Nigama refers to Vedas. How are the Vedas? They are the desire tree. What is the desire tree? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. If somebody wants ritualistic activities, okay, Dharma. Artha, he has some purpose. What is that purpose? He wants to go to heavenly abode. Okay, that is also there. Vedas has all those solutions. Dharma, Artha, Kama. If somebody wants to have sense gratification, Vedas has a solution for it. Moksha. Somebody wants liberation, Vedas has it. So that means it is a resort for everything. But in that resort, there is a matured fruit. And what is that matured fruit? That is Bhagavatam. So this Bhagavatam, which is a matured fruit of this Vedas, which is Kalpataru, this fruit is no more found there. That means Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, that is not found in the Vedas. Bhakti Tattva, Krishna Tattva, Rasa Tattva, they are hidden even from the Vedas. This fruit contains that. That is why this fruit is not found in the Vedas. Muhyanti yat Surya. That means this is hidden even from the demigods. Surya. It's not so easy to be found. Bhakti Tattva. Till moksha one can find in Vedas. But Bhakti Tattva is there in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam is that wonderful fruit which is not found in the Vedas, but emanating from the Vedas, but found in the mouth of Sukadeva Goswami. So Bhagavatam also means that which belongs to Bhagavan. Bhagavatam belongs to whom? Bhagavan. He is the proprietor of Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam belongs to Bhagavan. Bhagavan has given this Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. Simple. It comes down from the highest position from Narayana to Brahma, Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasa, finally at the mouth of Sukadeva Goswami. It is not damaged. It has a sweet which is just relishing. It is like the honey. The honey is very sweet. In the same way, Bhagavatam is very, very sweet. That has been emphasized. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam. Galitam. Galitam means which is now falling. Galitam. The meaning of Galitam has been put here. For example, Galitam, fully matured. Galitam also means which falls, which is falling from the tree. And where it is found, this mature fruit is found in the mouth of Sukadeva Goswami. Now just see, Vedavyasa giving Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami, but in the assembly where Sukadeva Goswami is speaking Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, Vyasa is also sitting and relishing Bhagavatam. Vyasa is sitting and relishing Bhagavatam from his own son. In fact, he has given Bhagavatam to his son, but he is relishing Bhagavatam from his son. That is why there is a meaning Bhavukaha. So Bhavuka are those people who like to taste beauty. And Bhagavatam is a person. Bhagavatam is completely beautiful. So now Bhavuka is only applicable for the devotees who have Sthai Bhava. Not Asthai Bhava, Sthai Bhava. That means they have Rati, they have Asakti, and they have that Sthai Bhava. They have love for Krishna. Nayanam Garada Shudharya Vadanam Gadadayagra Pulake Nichitam Bhukadatanam Grani Bhavisha. So their eyes always are, they just want to cry for Krishna. They are asking which day. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, when am I going to cry for Krishna? When am I going to cry when I am chanting the Gita? So that Bhava stage, where rati and asakti is in complete fullness. So these jnanis and karmis, they can never say that we are bhavuka. They can never claim. That is why Bhagavatam is not the subject. Cannot say that we can study Bhagavatam. This is why Mayavadis cannot give commentary on Bhagavatam. Shankaracharya's commentary on Bhagavatam is known as Sharirika Bhashya. Cannot give commentary. Because that is not the property of Jnanis and Karmis. So this is the property of only those who have that bhava, sthai bhava for Krishna that has been given. Okay. Read the purport. We will read.
I will read
Gadi
Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam.
All Matajis will read.
In the two previous shlokas, it has been definitely proved that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. In this shloka, it is stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature, but it is ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. In other words, it is the cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. With great respect and attention, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedas are compared to the desire tree because they contain all things knowable by man. They deal with mundane necessities as well as spiritual realization. The Vedas contain regulated principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, and metaphysical subject matter, and all that may be necessary to keep the body and soul together. Above and beyond all this are specific directions for spiritual realization. Regulated knowledge involves a gradual rising of the living entity to the spiritual platform, and the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that the personality of Godhead is the survivor of all the spiritual tastes or rasas. May I continue, Mataji?
Okay. Hey Mangi Mataji, you read from here.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam. Every living entity beginning from Brahma, the firstborn living being within the material world, down to the insignificant ant, desires to relish some sort of taste derived from sense perceptions. These sensual pleasures are technically called rasas. Such rasas are of different varieties. In the revealed scriptures, the following 12 varieties of rasas are enumerated.
We have
First,
studied this in Nectar of Devotion. So see how it is connecting. So Bhakti Shastri is better understood in Bhakti Vaibhava, isn't it?
Yes, Mataji. First, Rodra, anger. Second, Adbhuta, wonder. Third, Shringara, conjugal love. Fourth, Hasya, comedy. Fifth, Veera, chivalry. Sixth, Daya, mercy. Seventh, Dasya, servitorship. Eighth, Sakhya, fraternity. Ninth, Bhayanaka, horror. 10th, Bibhatsa, shock. Santa, 11th, Santa, neutrality. 12th, Vatsalya, parenthood.
So there how it is given 5 important, 5 primary rasas, second and 7 secondary rasas. The 5 primary rasas, it comes Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras and Madhuryaras. And in 7, Rautra, Adbhuta, Bhaya, then you have Veera, then you have Hasya, Vibhatsa, that is shock, Vaya is horror. I guess 7. 7 are there. Okay. Read further.
Yes, Mataji. The sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. Primarily, such signs of love are manifested in adoration, service, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. And when these five are absent, love is present indirectly in anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, fear, shock, and so on. For example, when a man is in love with a woman, the rasa is called conjugal love. But when such love affairs are disturbed, there may be wonder, anger, shock, or even horror. Sometimes love affairs between two persons culminate in ghastly murder scenes. Such rasas are displayed between man and between animal and animal. There is no possibility of an exchange or rasa between a man and an animal, or between a man and any other species of living beings within the material world. The rasas are exchanged between members of the same species. But as far as the spirit souls are concerned, they are one qualitatively with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the rasas were originally exchanged between the spiritual living being and the spiritual whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual exchange or rasa is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord.
So nicely Srila Prabhupada says, rasas, man, animal, it's okay. Man with any other species is also fine. But animal, little bit, that is also there. Animal. Man is also there. But man and another animal, that rasa cannot be, there is not, the possibility is not there. Sometimes it is there, sometimes not. Sometimes dog also loves the man also loves. But that rasa cannot be understood. It cannot be relished. Because there is no possibility, Srila Prabhupada says, of an exchange of rasa between a man and an animal. What parenthood, what the rasa you can do. Okay, it will come a little bit late and give something food. But that rasa cannot be understood. In animal, you can understand the rasa, like Vatsalata can be seen. That all can be seen. But man, but that is why it is said here. Better is just take this real rasa is when you have that relation with Krishna. That is why spirit soul and Krishna. They're only originally all the rasas emanate. Here also Vatsalata we are finding. A cow is very much attached to the calf. That Vatsalata is found here also. But originally from where it came? From Supreme Lord. Okay, Bindu Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described in the Shruti mantras, Vedic hymns, as the fountainhead of all rasas. When one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one constitutional rasa with the Lord, then the living being is actually happy. These Shruti mantras indicate that every living being has its constitutional position, which is endowed with a particular type of rasa to be exchanged with the personality of Godhead. In the liberated condition only, this primary rasa is experienced in full. In the material existence, the rasa is experienced in a perverted form, which is temporary, and thus the rasa of the material world are exhibited in the material form of the raudra, anger, and so on. Therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different rasas, which are the basic principles of activities, can understand the false representations of the original rasa, which are reflected in the material world. The learned scholar seeks to relish the real rasa in the spiritual form. In the beginning, he desires to become one with the Supreme. Thus, less intelligent transcendentalists cannot go beyond this conception of becoming one with the spirit whole without knowing of the different rasas.
Okay.
Continue. Hare Krishna.
Raksha Mataji will read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. In this sloka, it is definitely stated that spiritual rasa, which is realized even in the liberated stage, can be experienced in the literature of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Due to its being the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge, by submissively hearing this transcendental literature, one can attain the full pleasure of his heart's desire. But one must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narada Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Sri Vyasadeva. The latter in turn delivered the message to his son Srila Sukadeva Goswami, and Srila Sukadeva Goswami delivered the message to Maharaj Parikshit just 7 days before the king's death. Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. He was liberated even in the womb of his mother, and he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth. At birth, no one is qualified neither in the mundane nor in the spiritual sense. But Sri Sukadeva Goswami, due to his being a perfectly liberated soul, did not have to undergo any evolutionary process by spiritual realization. Yet, despite his being a completely liberated person situated in the transcendental position above and three material modes, he was attracted to this transcendental rasa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by liberated souls, who sings Vedic hymns. The Supreme Lord's pastime are more attractive to liberated souls than to mundane people. It is of necessity of impersonal because it is only possible to carry on transcendental rasa with a person. Can I continue, Mataji?
So here, Sukadeva Goswami did not undergo any reformatory process. Here refers to various sanskaras, like when there is a Janma sanskara, then the Nabhi is also part of time. Jataka sanskara is there. There are many sanskaras. But Sukadeva Goswami did not have to go for any reformatory process. All the sanskaras are nothing but to enhance our spiritual realization. He's already a realized soul. That is why he directly went and gave this message to Parikshit Maharaj. In that assembly, who is sitting? Vyasadeva is also sitting. In fact, from Vyasadeva only he learned Bhagavatam. When he learned Bhagavatam, here refers to he could recollect that loving transaction between Krishna, the loving nature of Krishna. So from here, Vimala Mataji, you don't have book, no? Vimalangi Mataji is there. You read from here, Vimalangi Mataji.
In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are narrated, and the narration is systematically depicted by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Thus, the subject matter is appealing to all classes of persons, including those who seek liberation and those who seek to become one with the Supreme Fool. In Sanskrit, the parrot is also known as suka. When a ripened fruit is cut by the red beaks of such birds, its sweet flavor is enhanced. The Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripe in knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who is compared to the parrot not for his ability to recite the Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from his learned father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would appeal to all classes of men.
Yes.
Should I read it?
So it has been systematically presented by Sukadeva Goswami. Yeah, continue.
The subject matter is so presented through the lips of Srila Sukadeva Goswami that any sincere listener that hears submissively can at once relish transcendental taste, which are distinct from the perverted taste of the material world. The ripened fruit is not dropped all of a sudden from the highest planet of Krishna Loka. Rather, it has come down carefully through the chain of disciplic succession without change or disturbance. Foolish people who are not in the transcendental disciplic succession commit great blunders by trying to understand the highest transcendental rasa known as the rasa dance without following the footsteps of Sukadeva Goswami, who presents this fruit very carefully by stages of a transcendental realization. One should be intelligent enough to know the position of Srimad Bhagavatam by considering personalities like Sukdev Goswami, who deals with the subject so carefully. This process of disciplic succession of the Bhagavata school suggests that in the future also Srimad Bhagavatam has to be understood from a person who is factually a representative of Srila Sukdev Goswami, a professional man who makes a business out of reciting the Bhagavatam illegally is certainly not a representative of Sukdev Goswami. Such a man's business is only to earn his livelihood. Therefore, one should refrain from hearing the lectures of such professional men. Such men usually go to the most confidential part of the literature without undergoing the gradual process of understanding this grave subject. They usually plunge into the subject matter of the rasa dance, which is misunderstood by the fullest class of men. Some of them take this to be immoral, while others try to cover it up by their own stupid interpretations. They have no desires to follow in the footsteps of Srila Sukdev Goswami. One should conclude, therefore, that the serious student of the rasa should receive the message of Bhagavatam in the chain of disciplic succession from Srila Sukdev Goswami, who describes the Bhagavatam from its very beginning and not whimsically to satisfy the mundana who has a very little knowledge in transcendental science. Srimad Bhagavatam is so carefully presented that the sincere and serious person can at once enjoy the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge simply by drinking the nectarian juice through the mouth of Sukdev Goswami or his bona fide representative.
Okay. So first verse, invocation of auspiciousness by chanting Om. Second verse, if you see how to bind Krishna within the heart. Third verse, the sweetness of Bhagavatam. Fourth verse, which place is chosen by the Lord for Bhagavatam or for giving such auspiciousness, that is Naimisharanya. Naimishe nimishakshetre ऋषयः क्षौनकादयः सत्रं स्वर्गाय लोकाय सहस्र समासता नैमिषे निमिषक्षेत्रे ऋषयः शौनकादयः सत्रं स्वर्गाय लोकाय सहस्रं समासता. So chant after me again. नैमिषे निमिषक्षेत्रे नैमिषे निमिषक्षेत्रे ऋषयः शौनकादयः सत्रं स्वर्गाय लोकाय सहस्रं सममासत. नैमिषे अनिमिषक्षेत्रे अनिमिषक्षेत्रे. Animisha is Krishna's name. Animisha. Animisha. The Kshetra, Naimisha, Naimisharanya. Naimishe, or you can say Naimisharanya. Once we had gone for the Yatra, Naimisharanya Yatra. I don't know how many of you had come that time. Naimisharanya Yatra. We had gone to Nepal. At that time, we had gone to Vrindavan. From Vrindavan, we came to Naimisharanya. So, Naimisharanya, Naimishe. Animisha Kshetre. This is whose Kshetra? This is the Kshetra of Krishna, who does not animisha. Animisha means he does not blink his eyes even for a fraction of a second. But we have blinking Krishna. That's all wrong thing. In computers, they had made blinking Krishna. If Krishna blinks, then what will happen? If Krishna blinks or closes his eyelids, everything is gone. Krishna never closes his eyelids. So Naimisharanya is Animisha Kshetre, Rushayha Shaunakadaya. In this place, all rishis were sitting, headed by Shaunaka Rishi. Many rishis were sitting. And what they were doing in this Satram refers to the place where auspicious activities are conducted. So in this Satram, they were performing sacrifice. But in one place it is said, when you do a lot of swaha, so much of smoke comes. Your face completely becomes black. Your body becomes black because of this smoke. And so much of smoke and so much of swaha, they are also fed up actually. They are actually waiting to hear about Krishna Swargaya Lokaya. They want to hear about Lord who is glorified in Swarga. By performing sacrifice, they can go in Swarga, na? They can go to Swarga or not. But they want to hear about Lord who is glorified in Swarga. That means they don't want to go to Swarga to enjoy the benefits there. In Swarga, a lot of sense gratification also happens. So they are not interested to go to Swarga. At the same time, they want to hear about Lord who is glorified in Swarga. Completely contradictory, isn't it? They could have gone to Swarga only to hear about Krishna. But they know Swarga is a very illusory place. In that place, they can have more of sense gratification. So better is they do tapasya here. And in this place, they can hear about Krishna. They are waiting to hear about Krishna. Lokaya. So they want to hear about the devotees also. They want to hear about Krishna. They want to hear about the devotees. They want to hear the glorification of Krishna by the devotees also. They want to know about the devotees who are always in touch with Lord. Sahasram, Sahasra Samamasata. For 1,000 years, they were performing this sacrifice, waiting for the opportunity to hear about Lord. What happened before 1,000 years? There was a great sage. His name was Romaharsha. This Romaharsha was speaking Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is glorification of Krishna. He was speaking. He was glorifying Krishna. When he was glorifying Krishna, at that time Balaram comes. He does not even pay attention to Balaram. It is the wrong thing. Balaram is Adi Guru. When your Guru comes, you should have some gestures. You don't have to come from the Vyasa asana. At least you should say, you should show some gestures. It is said, you should provide the seat for the Vyasa asana. When your Guru comes, immediately you should get down from the Vyasa asana. If you cannot do that, at least you can pay obeisances. But he did not do that. Instead, what he did, instead of that, he did not even pay attention to, he insulted. Insulted means by not paying attention, he was insulting Balaram. At the time, Balaram takes a small weed and throws at Romaharsha, and Romaharsha is killed. So the Bhagavatam stopped there. The glorification of Krishna stopped there. Bhagavatam stopped there. So these sages, they were anxiously waiting when the day will come when we'll hear Bhagavatam again. So in this forest is known as Naimi Sharanya forest. There's a nice story behind this. Nemi means the rim of a bead. Nemi. His Nemi Shiryate. Shiryate means fell. From which the rim is of which wheel? The wheel which emanated from the mind of Brahma. Brahma created a wheel within his mind. And the rim of this wheel, Shiryate, fell at this place, Aranya. That is why Naimi Sharanya. Nemi Shiryate Aranya. Nemi Shiryate Aranya Naimi Sharanya. In this way, this name came Naimi Sharanya. So what is the blessing given? Wherever this rim will fall, that will be favorable for performing austerities. That has been given. And Lord also spoke to one of the great Rishi, Gauramukha, that he said that I have killed a demon in this forest, in this Aranya. Quickly, within a moment, Nimishaha. That is why it is Naimi Sharanya. Nimishaha Aranyaha Naimi Sharanya. So the Asuric pravritti automatically goes away. Asuric pravritti goes away. The demonic tendency goes away. And this place is worshipped by the sages. This place is a very, very auspicious place. It is said, Shaulakadi Rishi, they were interested in Sakama Karma. They were performing the sakama karma. That means these ritualistic activities. First, they thought of going to Swarga. But then, because they heard, they were hearing about Puranas and all from Roma Harsha. So they became inquisitive about now spiritual life. Initially, they were performing all karma kandas. But then when they heard about the Lord from Roma Harsha, their inquisitiveness grew. So they desired to hear more about Lord. So they were waiting. It is said they were blackened by the smoke. The smoke of what? Smoke of the sacrifice. But now they want to hear about Lord. They are waiting. And Swargaya, Giyate, Giyate means where? Swargaya, Gaya means Giyate, Gaya. They want to hear about that person who is glorified in Swarga. They want to hear about the person who is glorified in the three planetary systems, Lokaya. So that is why they are no more interested in performing karmakanda activities. It is said the moment bhakti enters, or the power of bhakti is so-called attachment to the prescribed duties are completely stopped. That is the power of bhakti. The attachment to the prescribed duties, that is not there. It automatically diminishes. There is disinterest in even impersonal liberation. It has also been given. So that performance of sacrifice for attaining Swarga, upper planetary system, even that is also diminished. That is the power of bhakti. That is why bhukti, mukti, they both are pishachi. We have learned that. They both are pisachi. It's only bhakti which is beyond bhukti and mukti. Naimishe nimisha kshetre rusheha shaunakadaya satram swargaya lokaya sahasram samapasata. Usha Mataji, read the purport.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The prelude of Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken in the previous 3 slokas. Now the main topic of this great literature is being presented. Srimad Bhagavatam, after its first recitation by Sri Sukadeva Goswami, was repeated for the second time at Naimisaranya. In the Vayaviya Tantra, it is said that Brahma, the engineer of this particular universe, contemplated a great wheel which enclosed the universe. The hub of this great circle was fixed at a particular place known as Naimisharanya. Similarly, there is another reference to the forest of Naimisharanya in the Varaha Purana, where it is stated that by performance of sacrifice at this place, the strength of the demoniac people is curtailed. Thus, Brahmana prefers Naimisharanya for such sacrificial performances. The devotees of Lord Vishnu offer all kinds of sacrifices for his pleasure. The devotees are always attached to the service of the Lord, whereas fallen souls are attached to the pleasure of material existence. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that anything performed in the material world for any reason other than for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu causes further bondage to the performer. It is explained, therefore, that all acts must be performed sacrificially for the satisfaction of Vishnu and his devotees. This will bring everyone peace and prosperity. Should I continue, Mataji? Hare Krishna. Should I continue, Mataji? The great sages are always anxious to do good for
Where is Ramakrishnan Prabhu? Hari Bol. Where is Ramakrishnan Prabhu? Ask him to make it.
He's not well. He's having that bronchitis.
Okay, no problem. Madhvi Mandir Mataji, you read. Madhvi Manjari Mataji. She is there. Okay, Geeta Mataji can read.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. The great sages are always anxious to do good to the people in general, and as such, the sages headed by Shaunaka and others assembled at this holy place of Naimisharanya with a program of performing a great and continuous chain of sacrificial ceremonies. Forgetful men do not know the right path for peace and prosperity. However, the sages know it well, and therefore, for the good of all men, they are always anxious to perform acts which may bring about peace in the world. They are sincere friends to all living entities, and at the risk of great personal inconvenience, they are always engaged in the service of the Lord for the good of all people. Lord Vishnu is just like a great tree, and all others, including the demigods, men, siddhas, charanas, vidyadharas, and other living entities, are like branches, twigs, and leaves of the tree. By pouring water on the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree are automatically nourished. Only those branches and leaves which are detached cannot be so satisfied. Detached branches and leaves dry up gradually despite all watering attempts. Similarly, human society, when it is detached from the personality of Godhead, like detached branches and leaves, is not capable of being watered, and one attempting to do so is simply wasting his energy and resources. The modern materialistic society is detached from its relation to the Supreme Lord, and all its plans, which are being made by atheistic leaders, are sure to be baffled at every step. Yet they do not wake up to this. In this age, the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord is the prescribed method for waking up. The ways and means are most scientifically presented by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and intelligent persons may take advantage of his teachings in order to bring about real peace and prosperity. Srimad Bhagavatam is also presented for the same purpose, and this will be explained more specifically later in the text. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So now the story starts. Ta ekada tu munayah praturhutavtagneha satkrutam sutamasinam praprachuridamadarat. Ta ekada, once upon a time, one day. Ta ekada tu munayah, all these sages. Pratah, all the sacrifices are done in the morning. It's like chanting is done in the morning hours. Pratah hutagneha. So hutagneha, where huta means the sacrificial things are put, no? Like ghee is put. Hutagneha, that is put in the fire. They were doing that. They were doing swaha. They were performing the sacrifice. Satkrutam sutamasinam satkrutam. So with due respect, satkrutam sutamasinam. At the time Suta Goswami came. They were so happy to see him, son of Romaharsha. Romaharsha was actually giving them Purana. He was speaking about Puranas, but suddenly everything stopped. So Sutam Asinam, they gave him seat. Asinam Praprachur, after giving him the seat, they inquired. First thing is, inquiry begins after one places the spiritual master in a proper way. Praprachura. So now Suta Goswami is going to teach them. So they placed him very nicely. Praprachur. Then they inquired unto him. This chapter are the 6 inquiries done by the sages headed by Shaunaka Rishi. Aruna, read the purport.
Hare Krishna. Morning is the best time to Hare Krishna. Morning is the best time to hold spiritual services. The great sages offered the speaker of the Bhagavatam an elevated seat of respect called the Vyasasana, or the seat of Sri Vyasadeva. Sri Vyasadeva is the original spiritual preceptor for all men, and all other preceptors are considered to be his representatives. A representative is one who can exactly present the viewpoint of Srila Vyasadeva. Sri Vyasadeva impregnated the message of Bhagavatam unto Srila Sukadev Goswami and Srila Suta Goswami, and Srila Suta Goswami heard it from him, Sri Sukadev Goswami. All bona fide representative of Sri Vyasadeva in the chain of disciplic succession are to be understood to be Goswamis. These Goswamis restrain all their senses and they stick to the path made by the previous Acharyas. The Goswamis do not deliver lectures on the Bhagavatam capriciously. Rather, they execute their services most carefully, following their predecessors who delivered the spiritual message unbroken to them. Those who listen to the Bhagavatam may put questions to the speaker in order to elicit the clear meaning, but this should not be done in a challenging spirit. One must submit questions with a great regard for the speaker and the subject. This is also the way recommended in Gita. One must learn the transcendental subject by submissive oral reception from the right sources. Therefore, these sages address the speaker, Sutta Goswami, with great respect. Hare Krishna.
So here, how to inquire from the speaker has been given. Idam adara, adara means with due respect. Then before inquiring what they are doing, they are first glorifying the speaker. Rushaya uchuhu, tvaya kalu puranani, setihasani chanaga, akhyatana viditani, dharmashastrani anyata. Tvaya kalu puranani, you are very expert in Puranas, undoubtedly. Kalu means undoubtedly. Setihasani chanaga. Sa itihasani. Seti here means sa itihasani. You are very expert in Puranas. You are very expert in itihasa. Why? Chanaga, you are sinless. The one who is sinless automatically gets blessings of Krishna. Freed from all vices. Annaga. Akhyatana viditani. Akhyatani. Akhyatani means you explain very nicely. Adhitani, you have well read. Somebody is well read, then only he can explain. Akhyatani, aviditani. Aviditani means you are well read. Akhyatani adhitani. Akhyatani apidhitani. Dharma shastrani anyuta. You have well read the Dharma Shastras. You know the right directions. You know the scriptures which gives right directions. So adhitani, akhyatanapi. Adhitani means you have well read the scriptures. That is why you well explain the scriptures. So you are completely free from all vices. You are well versed in the scriptures, famous for religious life and in the Puranas and the histories as well. For you have gone through them under proper guidance and have explained them. Kusum Mataji, read the purport.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I am traveling, Mataji.
Night time, anybody travels or what?
Yes, I am out of station. I am traveling, Mataji.
Okay, Gyan Prabhuji, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pram. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A Goswami or the bona fide representative of Sri Vyasadeva must be free from all kinds of vices. The four major vices of Kali Yuga are illicit connection with women, animal slaughter, intoxication, speculative gambling of all sorts. A Goswami must be free from all these vices before he can dare sit on the Vyasasana. No one should be allowed to sit on the Vyasasana who is not spotless in character and who is not freed from the above mentioned vices. He not only should be freed from all such vices, but must also be well versed in all revealed scriptures or in the Vedas. The Puranas are also parts of the Vedas, and stories like Mahabharata or Ramayana are also part of the Vedas. The Acharyas or the Goswamis must be well acquainted with all these literature. To hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Hearing is called Sravana and explaining is called Kirtana. The two processes of Sravana and Kirtana are of primary importance to progressive spiritual life. Only one who has properly grasped the transcendental knowledge from the right source by submissive hearing can properly explain the subject. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad.
Yeah, Shravanam Kirtana. Whoever has heard nicely, then only he can do kirtan also nicely. That means he can also, then only he can speak nicely. That is why hearing has been emphasized. Yani Veda Vidam Shreshto Bhagavan Badarayana Anyecha Munaya Sutta Paravara Vido Vidu Anyecha Yani Veda Vidam Shreshto Veda Vidam. Vidam means your scholar of Veda. Yani Veda Vidam Shreshto. Shreshto means your senior most. There are so many who knows the Vedas, but you are the topmost. Yani Veda Vidam Shreshto Bhagavan Badarayana. So, Bhagavan Badarayana, you are well acquainted with whom? With the knowledge of Vyasadeva. Yani Veda Vidam Shreshto Bhagavan Badarayana. So here it has been said, being the eldest learned Vedantis, O Sutta Goswami, you are acquainted with the knowledge of Vyasadeva. You are the senior most Vedantis. You are well acquainted with Vyasadeva, with the knowledge of Vyasadeva. Anyechaha muneha sutaha paravara vido viduhu. Anyecha muneha sutaha. And you also know other sages who have given atheistic philosophy. Paravara vido viduhu. Here paravara vido viduhu means physical, metaphysical knowledge. Like you have Nyaya, Vaisheshika. There's the systems of philosophy, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga. Then Sankhya, Yoga, Karma Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. They are all considered as atheistic philosophy. So these six systems of philosophy, they are given by sages. You know them also. So you know the knowledge given by Vedavyasa. Yani Veda Vidam Shreshto, you are the topmost of all the Vedantis. Bhagavan Badarayana, the knowledge given by Vyasa, that also you know. You also know the knowledge given by other sages, like Gautama, Kannada. Gautama has given Nyaya. Kannada has given Vaishashika. Kapila has given Sankhya. Patanjali has given Yoga. Jaimini has given Uttara Mimamsa, Karma Mimamsa. And then, you know, then Uttara Mimamsa actually comes in theistic because it is given by Vyasa. Then you have Ashtavakraha. He has also given some philosophical speculations. Ashtavakraha. He has also given some Jnana Kanda. So that is why here, when you say Uttarivamsha, at least in Uttarivamsha, Brahman philosophy has been introduced. Brahman. But impersonal Brahman at least has been introduced in Uttarivamsha. Now Nyaya speaks about what is all these philosophies. Let us understand it a little bit. In Nyaya, who is the cause? First thing, who is the cause? If cause is Krishna, that is understood, then that is theistic philosophy. Instead of telling Krishna is a cause for everything, telling any other thing as a cause, that is atheistic philosophy. Now Gautama Rishi says, the cause is an atom. Then Kannada says, Kannada sage says in Vaishashika, it's a molecule which is the cause. I'm just giving just a small thing. And then Sankhya, the nature is a cause, Kapila says, Sankhya. Patanjali says, the yoga or an artificial Paramatma or just imaginary Paramatma is the cause. Then Jaimini says, no, our karma is the cause for our everything. Then Ashtavakra again, it is into karma only. So karma is the cause. Ashtavakra also speaks about this one. All these are Jnani speculators, philosophical speculators. That has been emphasized. But then it is Uttaravamsha where impersonal Brahman has been introduced. That is why after writing Uttaravamsha, still Vyasadeva is not happy because personal aspect has not been given very nicely. That is why Bhagavatam gives emphasis on the personal aspect of Lord. So we'll read, Rakshana Mataji read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentation on the Brahma Sutra or the Badrayana Vedanta Sutra. It is called natural because Vyasadeva is author of both the Vedanta Sutra and Srimad Bhagavatam, or the essence of all Vedic literatures besides Vyasadeva. There are other sages who are the authors of 6 different philosophical systems, namely Gautam, Kannada, Kapil, Patanjali, Jaimini, and Ashtavakra. Theism is explained completely in the Vedanta Sutra, whereas in the other system of philosophical speculations, particularly no mention is given to the ultimate cause of all causes. One can sit on the Vyasasana only after being conversant in all system of philosophy, so that one can present fully the theistic view of the Bhagavatam in defense of all other systems. Srila Sutta Goswami was the proper teacher, and therefore the sages at Naimisharanya elevated him to the Vyasasana. Srila Vyasadeva is designated here as the personality of Godhead because he is the authorized, empowered incarnation. Hare Krishna.
That is why it is said, a person should know wrong thing also. Then only he can present right thing properly. If you don't know wrong thing, how will you present right thing? So both the things has to be known. Vettatattvam samatat sarvam tattvatastat anugrahat brihusniptasya shishyasya guruvo guhyamapyuta vetthatvam saumyatat sarvam vetthatvam. What is vetthatvam? Vetha means you are very conversant. Tvam, your honor, you are very well conversant. Why? Because Saumya, you are very, very pure and simple. A person who is simple by heart and who is pure by heart, he only can be well conversant in the knowledge. Vetatvam saumyatat sarvam tattvatastat anugrahat. You also have anugraha of your spiritual master. Bhryu snigdasya shishyasya snigdasya. That means you have so much loving nature. You love your guru so much. Bhryu snigdasya love shishyasya guruvo guhyamapyuta. That is why your guru has given all the secret. The knowledge is a secret. That secret of knowledge is given by the guru to the disciple who loves him. So that is why service to guru is very important. We have studied this in Nectar of Devotion also. Sadhu Margano Gamanam. Very important to serve Guru. Even in Bhagavad Gita also, we have studied. Tadvidhi pranipatena paripreshnena sevaya upadakshandite jnanam jnaniya sattvadarshini. So that is how the jnanam is given. Now see, jnaniya sattvadarshini. That jnani who has tattvadarshi, he can give this knowledge when a person does a seva. Now see how Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam are interconnected. Why Sutta Goswami got the knowledge? Because he is Saumya. He is Saumya, he is Snigdasya. That is why Guhyam Apyutaha. Even though it is Guhyam, Apyutaha is endowed with that Guhya knowledge. Just because he has a service attitude to his Guru. He loves his Guru. See. Okay. Sajdev Goswami, Sajdev Brahma, Sajdev Goswami. Sutta Goswami, Sajdev Goswami. Please read. He is no less than a Goswami.
Text it. The secret of success in spiritual life is in satisfying the spiritual master and thereby getting his sincere blessings. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has sung in his famous 8 stanzas on the spiritual master as follows. I offer my respectful obeisance.
Prabhuji, your voice is really low.
Read loudly. Sajdev Goswami.
I offer my respect.
Read loudly.
Reading loudly maximum. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Only by his satisfaction can one please the personality of Godhead. And when he is dissatisfied, there is only havoc on the path of spiritual realization. And when he is dissatisfied, there is only havoc on the path of spiritual realization. It is essential, therefore, that a disciple be very much obedient and submissive to the bona fide spiritual master. Srila Sutta Goswami fulfilled all these qualifications as a disciple, and therefore he was endowed with all favors by his learned and self-realized spiritual masters such as Srila Vyasadeva and others. The sages of Naimisharanya were confident that Srila Sutta Goswami was bona fide, therefore they were anxious to hear from him. Hare Krishna.
So here we'll stop from 9th verse onwards. Questions, 6 questions placed by the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunakadi Rishi, will be given. The first question itself is there in the 9th verse. Okay, any question? Only one question I'll take, because I have only 4% battery. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
One question and one small remark. You said that the sages of Naimisharanya, they were blackened by the smoke because they were conducting the ritual activities. So here I have to say that this can also, some acharyas have also quoted that the blackened by smoke also means that their hearts were blackened, but not blackened by the smoke. The hearts were blackened because they had become hard-hearted. And why they had become hard-hearted? Because they were performing ritual activities. So this was just a remark. And then you said that as soon as bhakti enters, then their heart got softened and all that. And the second question
why
is,
hard-hearted? Why hard-hearted?
what is the difference between?
Why
because they were
hard-hearted?
performing ritual activities.
What is the rituals? They used to do animal sacrifice. Wherever animal sacrifice is there, naturally the heart is hardened.
Yeah.
That has also been
That's a
mentioned.
more deeper part. Yeah. And Mataji, my question was is that what is the difference between, you said about Naimisharanya and its role and its importance, then what would be the difference between Kurukshetra and Naimisharanya?
In technically, there is no difference. But there is difference. In Kurukshetra, Krishna himself is present. In Naimisharanya, Krishna kills a demon, and in this way Krishna gives auspiciousness, where demonic tendency is removed. So this is the Kshetra of Krishna. That is also Kshetra of Krishna. In both the places, Krishna is present. In both the places, Krishna has performed different roles. Every dham is abode of Krishna only. But Leelas of Krishna is different in different places. In Kurukshetra, Krishna has different role. In Naimisharanya, Krishna has different role. In Naimisharanya, Krishna killed a demon. Kurukshetra, Krishna killed his own relatives.
Thank you,
Any other
Mataji.
question?
Mataji, one doubt I have.
2% battery, yeah? Mine is only 2% battery now. Quick question.
Shri Vyasadeva, some places Srila Vyasadeva. What is the difference?
No difference. Okay. So we are supposed to study the 3 important verses from the Mahatmya, that is Bhagavat Mahatmya. We are given 3 important verses. And also these verses till 8th chapter, till the 8th verses, read these verses. Okay, and life and sketch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, read. I'll be asking you the questions. Read now. Because we have to complete the portion also. All of you read. Monday I will be asking questions from that. Okay, read 10 times. Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.